at first, like working with your partner, it's like you got to find your zone of genius, right? Like, so what are you good at? What am I good at? Let's make the most of it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Screw It, Let's Do This podcast. I'm your host, Shelby.
And I'm your other host, Therese.
And today we have a very special guest on, Mariah.
Woo! Welcome, Mariah.
I love it. Round of applause.
Yeah,
Can you tell
I'll
us,
take it again.
I don't want to introduce you. I want you to introduce us
Okay.
and to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm Mariah Taubenheim.
Mm-hmm. Name
Okay.
change.
I changed it on Instagram literally
I saw
yesterday.
it.
Right away. Everyone's
Oh my
like, you
gosh.
have to change it. Not legally changed yet, but on Instagram. So like basically.
That's
No,
legal.
seriously, that's like a big
That's
deal.
legal.
It was so funny. But yeah, Mariah, I
Got married 2 days
got
ago.
married 2 days
Canceled
ago.
her honeymoon
That's like
to be here.
basically all that's on my mind right now, but I have a lot of other things. So when I changed my name on Instagram, my bio got deleted. So I had to like retype it. And I was like, wait, what was in there? And I'm like, oh my gosh, all my things. Photographer, Simple Focus Studios, founder, Raise Agency, host, Mindset Monologue. But yeah, so I'm a photographer. We also do videography. But we mainly just say photography. Videography is more like an add-on, I would say, for us, mainly for weddings. But yeah, and then Raise, I started, and I call it, it's a marketing agency. Sometimes I call it digital media because it's kind of a plethora of services that I offer. But the main one lately has been social media management. So marketing, I think, falls into that category because when people are like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I'm in marketing,
Yeah, it's hard
social
to
media marketing. It's
describe.
just like, it's so broad. What I do. And it's funny because with having my family in town for the wedding and everything, I'm like, I swear to God, no one knows what I do. Like nobody knows my job or like, obviously photography, like that's an easy one, whatever. But with Raise, it's just like, they're like, she does something with social media, like, and, you know, websites and things.
And
they're like,
websites.
That is so funny. I need to just jump in real quick because like no one understood what I did either. At the beginning, I'd be like, I'm a food stylist. That's it.
I love it.
Now I wouldn't say that's what I do, but like back in the day.
Well, because back in the day, the charcuterie world was not at what it is today.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. So I just simplify it like that's it.
Yeah.
But photographer, sometimes videography,
Yes.
your social media, digital marketing company.
Yes.
Was the word company?
Agency.
I call it an agency. When I started it, because obviously it's like you're slowly but surely building your team. You guys know when you first start out, it's you, yourself, and your brain, right? Trying to come up with everything. And then you slowly build your team. So I'm at the point where I'm slowly building my team.
Love it.
Maybe it'll get to the point where it's a company, like who knows, 10 years down the road. But at this point, yeah, we're slowly but surely. It's so fun.
And then podcaster too.
Yeah.
The Mindset Monologue, which I
it
love
was
that
one of
name.
those screw it, let's do it things
Mhm.
of like, it was in the back of my brain for, I swear to God, 2 years. And I think after having my daughter, I had this like urgency of like, I want to do all of these things that I have in my brain. Like, just do it. Like, what am I
Yeah.
waiting for?
Yeah.
So lately it's been on pause just with the wedding and everything. And it's our busy season for photography right now. Just like, I think there was like 12 weddings in Madison on Saturday.
Oh, and what?
It's
when
just
they-
like this time of year is just so popular.
Mhm.
So we're obviously also very busy, but I told Andrew I wanted to have a winter wedding and he was like, oh, fall. Like it was such a vibe. Like we do love
It
this
was
time
gorgeous,
of year,
yeah.
but also being wedding photographers, it's a little much.
Yes.
But yeah.
Right now, baking for September weddings is just whooping me.
Yeah.
Like September is our busiest wedding
Yep.
month of all time. So from my side of things,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
When everyone was posting the 21st of September song on the 21st, I was like, damn it. Like, why couldn't my wedding be on the 21st? Like, how fun would have that been on the dance floor, like to that
Oh,
song?
yeah.
And so I think we did play that song and we were all just like, 23rd of
Yeah.
September. But yeah.
People would be like, why'd you have a Thursday wedding? Because the 21st was a Thursday, right?
think so.
Yeah, it was.
Listen to the song. Like,
I
that's
know.
why.
This is why.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
No, so
Man,
fun.
that is insane. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. You got a
So
lot on your plate, man.
you're slowly building your team. What does
Yeah.
that look like right now? I know you work with your husband.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. So the whole journey to like entrepreneurship, I've been thinking about it and like, I don't think if I was like with anyone else, like I could have done it. Like he's such a good partner. The fact that like thank God we started it before we had Tenley, because I don't like having a kid changes your whole world, obviously. So like we had that already. Like Simple Focus was good to go. And we had our systems in place. And at first, like working with your partner, it's like you got to find, your nuances, and you're good at each, you got to find your zone of genius, right? Like, so what are you good at? What am I good at? Let's make the most of it, kind of thing. So when we first got into photography, he did photography in college too. He's, very artistic, and he has the eye, but he didn't realize how much of it is posing people and making sure they look good, the hair is good, like all of the things. So he's very good at the artistic side of photography, of the actual shooting, the angles, the poses. He's very good with the technology of it. So he basically taught me everything when it comes to like the camera logistics. And then I've slowly but surely been teaching him, this is what looks good when like people sit like this or tilt their head or like little things like that. And then with the editing, we kind of just like work as a team, because it's all personal preference, right? Like people can like your editing style, but at the end of the day, it's personal preference. And there's actually a thing with professional photography that you put it in your contract that you might not like the edits. Obviously, if you hire them, you know what their edits are like. It's not going to be a surprise, but it's also a thing of like, this is personal preference. If you don't like it, I can't, give you a refund because you don't like my edits, kind of thing. So it's a whole thing. But we go back and forth of he edits very differently than I do.
Gosh.
So when we first started out, it was a very hard, like, I like this. No, I like this. Or this is too much. That's not enough, whatever. But we found our groove, I feel like, and it's so fun. We worked together before that too. When we actually first moved to Madison, we both worked at Rare Steakhouse together. I was the bar server. He was the bartender.
Wait, is that where you guys met?
No,
okay.
We met back at home. But when we moved here, I started working there, and I was like, Andrew, you got to work here. Like the tips are too good, like whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so fun working together. And all of our coworkers were like, how can you work with your significant other? Like, wouldn't you just fight? And I was like, oh my God, no. Like we help each other out. Like I get to have some nice eye candy at the bar. Like what? I love it. It's so much fun. So we already kind of knew like what working together was like. And he's always just like, because I mainly run things, right? And he's like, what do you need from me? What do I have to do? So now I have it in our systems of like, I just write him notes and I put his due dates and all the things. So, because otherwise he was like, what am I working on? What's due? When do I have to have it done? And I'm like, I don't have it in my head. I need to like write it down. So we've gotten to a point where we're like, systems are good. We don't have to talk about it. We're just like, do our stuff, like I'm sure you guys have that with your teams. Like at first, maybe it was a little hectic, and now it's like, okay, put the systems in place.
Still hectic.
Well, you're getting there.
It doesn't go away.
I'm like, yeah, but no. Yeah.
So put your systems in place so you don't have to talk through, so.
Yeah.
But no, it's so amazing. Having a supportive partner, and he's also, he's the full-time stay-at-home dad. He holds down the fort. So it's amazing.
I feel like that's really unique. But I think, so okay, when I hear your story, I'm like, oh, it's really cool that like he taught you the photography skills, and it sounds like you're kind of running the business part. And I will be curious, someday for me. So I've been dating Kenan for a couple of years. I started the business before I met him. I made it into my own thing. It's very much like
your
me.
baby.
Yes, it's not only my baby, but it's very like pointing at my skills.
Yeah.
And we're very different people. So and he really wants to work for me.
He wants a job. I love it.
He's like, I want you to retire me. I'm like, let's chat in 5 years.
Right.
5'10".
Right.
But so I'll be interested to see, because he does help me a lot, but it's me telling him what to do all the time. It's not like co-owner vibes.
Right.
It's more like,
So this is what I'll say. I had, shout out Leah Rowe. I had a mentor. I'll call her my mentor. She works with her husband, Dan, and they are just like motivation to the moon.
Wait,
like,
she sounds familiar.
I'm sure you guys know of her for
Is she
sure.
a marketing agency?
They own the Perk.
Yes, I did. Yes, I saw a presentation from her.
Phenomenal. And I think it might have been similar. I kind of forget of how, whatever, but it makes me think of like, they always go back to, what's your zone of genius? Like, what are you good at?
Can you explain that? Yeah.
So zone of genius is the idea of we all have skills. We all have things that we're really good at. you maybe find them in college, maybe in high school, sports. Do your sports that you're good at, right? You do all the things that you're good at.
Yeah,
so
no,
as you
I'm
get
like
through
now sports for me. But, business club, business. Do you know like the Strength Finders test?
It's exactly
Okay,
like that.
perfect,
Yes, it's very similar. So it's just the idea of do what you're good at and outsource the rest, right? So like I'm good at social media. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good, right? So when I started Raise, I pulled my zone of genius chart from the company I had previously worked at. And I was like, what am I good at doing? What do I like doing? Let's do that.
Wait, can I take that quiz online? Or because I've already done Strength Finders.
I think if you just Google Strength Finders or like Zone of Genius, they're
Zone of
very
Genius.
similar.
Okay, I need to do that.
Yeah, it's just basically the idea of like, what am I good at? What do I like doing? That's what I should be doing. Because you're not gonna get out of bed for doing something that's like that's why the whole point of entrepreneurship. You love your job. You love doing what you're doing. Both of you. You're literally doing your hobbies as a job. Obviously, there's more to it, but then you outsource that stuff, right? You wake up. Yeah.
So
right.
I'm trying to do that right now because there is a difference between like the Strength Finders book that I totally love. I was given it at one of my last jobs. And I've gotten that book for a couple friends or even people that work for me. Katie Ripp actually gets it for all of her people, the Strength Finders. Yeah,
cool.
So it inspired me to get that. But the book literally says like you cannot be good at everything, but like you can only be better at what you're already good at or like what your strengths already are. But like you can use those certain strengths to like get other things done.
Totally.
So like for me, I remember taking that quiz and it was like, okay, you're good at communication and like community and action taking. So I'd like use that, if I needed help in school, I'd tell a kid I'd buy him Culver's or take him to Culver's if he would help me with like my coding project because I was in IT stuff. So like that was my way of getting to what I wanted through my strengths. But I haven't heard of the Zone of Genius before.
So it's if he wants a job, say tell me what you're good at, or have him take the quiz so you can figure out how that could fit into your world so that it can benefit both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. That is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious just because this is something that Ben and we are very different people. Like we have very different strengths, like all that. And one thing I really don't love, and this is not just Ben, like my parents, anyone I'm really close to, I don't like hearing like criticism from them about what I'm doing. And that's something that I'm like, I don't want to hear your criticism.
Yeah.
I just want like you to listen to me.
Right.
Do you feel that way with Andrew? Like, do you get to the point where you're like, I'm just curious because I know I'm very like
I'm trying to think
invested in it because it's like maybe not because you guys kind of started it together.
Yeah.
But because I started Miggy's and I ran it for like
it's very
almost
different
3 years before Ben.
Yes.
That I feel like I'm like
they don't know the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it is very different in that sense. So like I'm the same way with Raise, right? So Raise, it's all me. It's all in my brain. I'm doing everything. But with Simple Focus, it really was a team effort, and I could not have done it without him. He could not have done it without me. Like it was very much a team, and I think there was, I'm sure, little things I think mainly it makes me think of the editing.
Yeah.
Like he's very dark and moody, and I'm very like true to color. Enhancement without making it over edited kind of thing. So I think at first he was like, "You're overexposing everything. Like turn the brightness down or turn the exposure down, whatever." But I was like, people like it. Our clients like it, whatever. So it became one of these things that we just kind of had to figure out slowly but surely. But we worked it out just by I edited the sneak peeks and then he edited the rest of the gallery based off of the sneak peeks.
Oh.
But then it got to a thing where then he was changing my edits and I'm like, don't you dare change my edits. I'm like, I already posted them on Instagram, so you got to keep them how it is, whatever.
Oh my
but
gosh.
it's just little things like that. It was never like business changing, like big things. Because I think that's the beauty of photography. It's a very, I don't want to say simple, but like there's not a ton of headache that comes with it. The initial investment is your gear and your education. And the education is lifelong, ongoing, because photography is always changing. But that's the beauty of it. You guys have a way different experience with your businesses. I have very low overhead with all of my businesses. You guys have very different experiences in that way. So my headaches come in very different forms, I would say, than you guys, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, question. Do you think Ben would ever want to join the Miggy's team?
How could he not?
Yeah, question for
How
Shelby.
could he not?
Yeah, I think he would.
He basically has. I saw him sweeping in the kitchen. I saw a video.
He's the new janitor.
Mopping.
Oh, a funny story about mopping. I like come home after I fully mop like the whole place and I'm just drenched in sweat. And like it's hard. Like you have to scrub. Like when you do like a deep mop, it's hard.
Yep.
You know.
Well, actually I haven't mopped.
Oh,
My girls have been
man.
mopping every night though. But we don't
Gosh.
have like crust in the back. You know, like we're nothing
Right.
raw.
Like flour.
we just
or,
have
like
flour
crusty.
and
Yeah.
sugar and
Ours
butter
isn't
and
bad.
stuff all over. And so like it's hard. And I'll come home and I'm like, oh my God, my arm is so sore because I've been like doing this.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, like one time he wasn't rude about it or anything, but he like made a comment and I was like, oh, do you want to try mopping? Like I was like, not today. And so he came to the bakery like a week later and he's like, what else can I do? And I'm like, you could mop. And I was like, really get in there, you know? And at the end he was like, and he doesn't really sweat. Like even when he
Oh
works out,
gosh,
he
I'm
like
dead.
doesn't sweat. He was sweating. He had like stains on it. And
Bruh.
I'm like, it's not that hard, is it? I was like, why are you sweating? Like it's not that hard.
Oh my
and he just looked
gosh.
at me and he was like, and I said, come on back anytime.
Oh,
He's like, I
man.
want a job, just not mopping.
I think
Dude.
he would. He's very good at like finance and like
Yeah.
behind the scenes business.
Which is
like
yeah,
so much
he is
to
so
it.
good at that. And I absolutely hate that. Like I hire it out. So eventually down the line, like I could see him doing that. But he's so busy with his job. He's an actuary that like right now, like there's no way he could
Right.
help me full time or
Yeah.
like more than he does now and then. But yeah, down the line, I could see him.
Well, it is just so fun, even to just have like your partners be in the entrepreneur like mindset of like being able to bounce ideas off each other. Like, I don't know if you guys do that with your significant others, of just like Andrew and I are constantly thinking of our next move. What's the next endeavor?
is your
What's
next
the next
move?
Yeah.
I don't know. We got married. That was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was check.
That was
That'll
big.
take a
And now we're like, okay, now let's we'll see. But it's just like it's so fun to have someone to be able to like do that with. And you guys obviously have your community of friends too to have that with, but just to like be at home laying in bed when like you're thinking of your ideas, right? To just like have someone to like bounce ideas off of. It's so fun.
Do you have goals to like make a lot more businesses? Because you have 3.
I think I'm more of the kind of person that it's I want to do what I'm doing really freaking well. And I don't half-ass anything. So I think it's like I want to focus on what I'm doing and just like do it. The fact that I have 2 businesses is like enough. They do nicely go hand in hand with the fact that like I shoot content for all of my clients. So I'm doing photography and videography with both of my businesses.
Right.
So it is nice that they both do go hand in hand. It's very helpful in that way, but I don't think I could if I did, it would maybe be like investment type of things where it's very hands off and just kind of that way. But otherwise I think it's just like growing the businesses that I already
That you
have.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now with either one of your businesses or having
Mhm.
multiple businesses?
I think it's just like the time. Andrew and I have both been very on the same page about right now at this point in our lives, we want to work enough to sustain the lifestyle that we want. But the main priority right now is spending time as a family, right? Where we want to grow our family. We want to enjoy. You really only get 5 years with your children of like core memories. They're only little for so long. Then they go to school and they're gone for 8 hours a day. And it's just like, it's such, I see a lot of stuff online and there's a lot of like, oh, parenting, it's hard, whatever. We love it. We love spending time with Henley. Like we're obsessed. So right now, our goal is to build our businesses so that we can spend time at home. We can work from home. I can work during nap time. I can be present. And then I can do some more work when she goes to bed. And then we've always talked about we can work harder when she's in school and, and she doesn't care as much about us. But like right now, she cares and I'm obsessed with it and I want it to soak it all in. So so the fact that the businesses are so new, or Simple Focus has been good, but Ray's being so new, I'm trying to build this business and get more clients and get it to a point of sustainability where I'm not doing all the work so I can have a team to kind of delegate and I'm just kind of managing things. That's the goal. But having that be like right now where I'm also wanting to just like be with her all the time, I think is just the hardest part, but it's like, it's manageable. But
Well, it's nice that you can determine how much work you want to take on.
Totally.
Like I know we talked about that before we even got onto the pod. You said like, well, I don't want to take every client that comes my way. Like there's certain criteria you have.
Absolutely.
So that's so nice.
Yeah,
with, like,
absolutely.
the point you're at in your life.
So we talked a little bit about this before, and we need to share this with everyone. What do you think, looking back, your biggest flop has been?
Yeah, I love this question. I think it's funny because I'm so early on in my like career, of my journey. Like I'm in the first 5 years of like everything. So I don't really have like an actual like real life experience flop. That's more for your guests who are more experienced in their
That's for us.
careers.
Yeah, no, I can tell you a flop last
You
week.
guys maybe have more, but I have kind of a funny one of like for photography. We were shooting a wedding and Bucky was there.
Bucky the Badger.
Bucky the Badger.
The mascot for the UW college.
Came to surprise.
UW College.
Yeah.
UW Madison.
UW Madison.
Yes,
Anyways, Bucky.
He came to surprise the bride and groom. Everyone was so hype about it. We knew, so we were ready to capture the moment. It was a very small venue, so we had to be in the right spot and get the right angle. Bucky's very tall, so I'm like up here, whatever. And everyone started doing jump around. It's the classic UW Madison. If Bucky's there, you got to jump around, right?
Yep.
DJ plays jump around. And I just happened to be standing in the middle of the circle and everyone starts jumping around and Bucky's there. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, well, I'll get the shot. So I like bend down a little bit to like get the shot, whatever. And next thing I know, I'm on the floor and my flash has been broken off from my camera and my camera's over there and my flash is over there and I'm over here. And I'm like... And everyone's like still jumping around. So I'm like on the floor. I'm like, quick, grab that. I'm like,
you risked your life.
It's like, that's like,
Yeah,
that's
those got
that's my
stomped.
life. I'm like,
Oh
oh
my
my gosh. So I'm like, grab it. And I like run and it was hectic, and the bride and groom felt so bad.
Oh my
like, they're
God.
the sweetest, whatever. But it ended up being fine. Nothing was like horribly broken, but it was just like it was a life lesson. If you're at a wedding with Bucky, do not get in the middle.
Yeah, literally,
Get out of there.
Literally.
So now, now when I'm like, okay, outside of the circle, and that's just for any wedding, even if Bucky's not there, like we shoot at that point in the night, you're steer
Things
clear.
get
but
buck
yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
But love Bucky. No hard feelings, Bucky.
You've mentioned that your business is newer in your first 5 years. So can you talk to us a little bit about what your life looked like before you started into the journey of entrepreneurship?
Where are you from again? Can
Yeah.
you tell us?
So I grew up in Reedsville, Wisconsin. I always just tell people I'm from Green Bay because everybody knows Green Bay, Wisconsin. But yeah, so that's like where I grew up. But I came to Madison for my last 2 years of school, did my first 2 years gen eds at home, saved some money. Always a good idea. I tell everyone, it's like, get the gen eds out of the way, save some money, and then go to your dream school. Madison was always my dream school. I just didn't, because I paid for my own college, like no help, whatever. I think I applied for every scholarship in the world.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was the best move for me. And then I got to come to my dream school and just live in this city. And of course, fell in love in this city of just
Fell in love with the city or fell in love with your husband at the
Oh, really?
Oh, he's from your
I brought
hometown.
him with me.
Okay,
Yeah. So
got
we
it.
met there, but I brought him with me. And then we just fell in love with Madison. And we're like, well, we're never leaving. Like,
Wait, you
how
moved here
can
3
you?
years ago, right?
It's been longer than that because I did 2018 was when we moved.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right, because you had
Yeah,
college.
because I did
Okay.
junior, senior year. And during that time, I was like trying to figure out, honestly, because my degree is just in communications. Like I was like, I need a college degree, right? But didn't really know what I wanted to do. What's the job? I don't know, right? So applied for a bunch of internships. I thought I was going to be in broadcasting, had an internship with that. Wasn't the route I wanted to take. So then I got a different internship with a virtual company, actually. It was called Teleteachers. And they're still around today. So feel free to look them up. They do amazing things for virtual education with students with disabilities. So I was an intern. I was actually like, it was a startup. So Emily Smith, the founder, is amazing. She's one of my mentors. I was one of her first employees because it's a smart business move. She hired interns to get her going, to make cold calls, to do research, to just do all this busy work that she needed help with, right? So she hired a bunch of us as interns and then asked me to stay on post-grad. And I worked for her for 2 years and it was amazing. I got to do all different kinds of things within the business because it was a startup, right? So I worked in sales, I worked in marketing, I did social media for them. I was their brand manager. I onboarded, sales team members. I taught them our CRM, HubSpot. You guys know HubSpot. I think you might have worked in it.
I don't.
It's very similar to
but
Salesforce.
Okay, I use Honeybook, but like,
Yes.
of course I know HubSpot.
Yes. But anyway, so I got to learn so many things of like what it takes to have a business and like just the startup world. And it was virtual. So I got to work from home. So I learned, but with them, I also got to have my own team of interns. So it kind of went full circle of like, I was an intern. And then 2 years later, I had my own team of interns in an office in Madison. And that's when I learned that I hated working in an office. Going to an office every day, I was like, so that's not for me.
Yeah.
I will be a work from home girly and that will be whatever. So then when I had my daughter, Tenley, I took a step away from that company and kind of went full time with Simple Focus at the time. And then Andrew still had his job at the time. And then we realized how much we love just like being at home with each other and how obsessed we were with each other. And I was like, okay, so stop working, come help me with Simple Focus so we can like keep this going because we're doing good. I just need help and we could be even bigger and better. And then I realized that we are photographers in Madison, Wisconsin, and it's very seasonal in Wisconsin. So I was like, okay, so we need something for the off season, right? We need something to sustain us if we're going to keep this entrepreneurial world of our lifestyle going. So then I started Raise because people were, my mentors were like, okay, what's your zone of genius? What are your strengths? Find it, make something out of it. And that's how Raise was born. And I actually pulled all my strengths and I was like, what do I like doing? What am I
did you
good
tell
at
us your
doing?
strengths? Do you know what they are?
I actually haven't done it in years.
Okay.
I don't think I've done it since I was at the startup. I should really do it again. That would actually be really
I
interesting.
love taking all those quizzes.
It would be really interesting. What I recently did though is I did a human design reading with Dana. Dana's amazing. You can look her up, her human design. She offers sessions where you can kind of learn about yourself. So
oh my gosh.
From that session, I actually learned a lot about myself. And I always joke, one of the things she told me was that I was meant to only work like 3 to 4 hours a day. And then the rest.
How did she find this? She just like looked at you and she's like,
she's a friend of mine and she kind of started this and was like,
we need her
if
on.
you want
wait.
one.
How did do you take a quiz or she just looks at you?
So they base it off of the time you were born, where you were born. It's all like, it's kind of like astrological with the moon and like, it's very like, this is who you are since the day you were born.
Did you feel like it hit?
I did. Yeah. I felt like it was very accurate. And I'm, obviously I'm very realistic with those things of like, it's all,
I'm not. I hear it. I'm like, I believe you.
I know. It was very eye-opening. And I actually met with her in person, but she does virtual sessions and she also does pre-recorded sessions where if you don't even have time to meet with her virtually, she'll talk to you, she'll make you a video and send it to you.
Oh my gosh.
So you can kind of learn about yourself.
Interesting to have her on.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That would be really funny if it was accurate. I'm just like laughing because I'm not like a horoscope person, but
me either.
I did tell my Alexa to read me my horoscope. I don't want to say her name because it's going to trigger a lot of people. So I did have my, my thing, read my horoscope the other day and it was so accurate. I literally started crying. I was like, you don't have to take everything on, like delegate. And I was like, I'm having a meeting tonight with my girls.
Yes, I love it.
Oh,
one of the things about me is that I need to be patient and like wait to be invited to things. Like I should just wait and like not like don't stress yourself out, don't go after things, whatever. So like literally with this podcast, I was like, I'll get there. Like, because I'm like seeing you guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to be on their podcast.
Oh wait,
so
we've
like,
been wanting you on. We've talked about it. Like
we've talked about it.
Yeah, and it's just like will fall into place. It's just our busy schedules, whatever. I'm like, but I knew that was one of the things about me that was like, be patient, just wait. Like let things fall into place. Well, and it's that's a part of my whole thing too. Is like, take your time. Like we're gonna get there. Like I know we all feel rushed with our businesses to like get to the goal and get to the finish line, but it's like enjoy the freaking ride. Like
I need to take a note on
Yeah,
that.
I've been actually trying to do that for like the past 48 hours. And
I need to do that.
We had this part in our wedding ceremony. Thank God for it too. My dad was the officiant. He said something about weddings can be very stressful. There's a lot of lead up. And so he goes, can we all take a second and take a deep breath? And we all, the whole crowd, we all took a breath. And it honestly felt so amazing because Andrew and I were holding hands and we were a little bit like this. And we took a breath and we just like relaxed. And it was just so much better. And it's just like one of those things, like we all need that in life.
Yeah. I have a question. Were you looking at me on the floor?
Were you on the floor?
Oh, I was on the floor.
Like ground.
Yeah, because I was trying to get the shot.
Oh my God.
So basically, this past weekend, Mariah, when she got married, I went and filmed for a new business that I've been wanting to work on.
Well, wait, have you said like what your business is on here? Aside the Bride?
It's called Aside the Bride.
We need to really talk about it.
This is business.
Wanted to get into it like a couple months ago. I was feeling so ready. Like Miggy's was like, I felt like taken care of. Then my manager quit like the next day. So then I had to like pause and like get Miggy's going. And so now I feel like I'm getting in a better groove, but it's also our busy season. So I'm just kind of like not pressuring that.
For you, I think it's going to have to be one of those things where it's like a fun project that's like, this is for fun.
Right. I had so much fun doing it. Like, I love that kind of thing.
And it gives the bride, like from my point of view, it gave me so much peace of mind that like, it's being captured. Like if I would have just had like one of my girlfriends or one of my sisters just like grab some whatever, like you know what you're doing, you know, like and just like designating someone. I didn't have to be like, can you come take whatever? Like it's just like, it gives me so much peace of mind. It's such a good idea. I'm just like, obviously telling everybody about you and like the fact that like everyone needs this and it's such a thing. Like
it is.
It's definitely blowing up. So I
love that you're so casual about it. You're like, yeah, it's going to the moon.
Well, not my
but the idea.
Personally. The idea is blowing up. So basically, what bridal content creation looks like is it's a lot cheaper than like a traditional videographer.
Yes.
But it's a lot more like laid back. So I literally took everything on my phone, and then just do all the edits on my phone. So I was there from like 1:30 to or like 2 to like 8 or something at your wedding.
Just enough to capture the big moments.
Right. And just kind of getting like all the behind the scenes content. And like if Mariah had specific things, I was like, yep, I'm right there. And just trying to get like little moments that like the videographer might not be focusing on is kind of like the goal. And so, I mean, I had so much fun, but definitely like had to slow it down a bit after my manager ended up leaving to move. And that was a whole thing. So
I'm obsessed with the name. How did you come up with that? Aside the Bride. It's genius.
Yeah. It was because you're a marketing genius.
Because you literally follow the bride. Like it's the bride who wants the content. The groom doesn't get, he doesn't care.
It was kind of hard. It was kind of like, I mean, it took me a night. Like I did it in a night.
Yeah.
So I had like all these ideas in my notepad on my phone.
That's your genius. That's your genius. It's marketing. It's coming up with those ideas.
That one was tough because like there's so many starting that like I had so many ideas right away. They were all taken.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't like spending, I just like taking action as soon as I can. So I was like, I could think about this for days and weeks, but like, I don't
love
care.
that. That's actually one of the things I tell my clients if I do branding work for them or building websites and they're like, oh, first I need to think of a name. I'm like, well, come up with something.
That's like us with this podcast.
You can always rebrand.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be set in stone. Nothing's, you can rebrand later, but just like get something going.
Yeah. This podcast took the longest. Miggy's Events by Miggy's, which wasn't creative. I just wanted something that day. And then Aside the Bride, I did it all in probably 2 hours. Each one of them. I just came up because I just wanted to like, when I have an idea.
Well, it's one of those screw it, let's do it things. Like sometimes people think like with entrepreneurship, it's like, oh, it takes like you gotta
be
really
prepared,
plan it
check
out,
off the
and
list.
you gotta, because I think that was actually one of your guys' questions was, did you plan this or was it kind of like for your businesses?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like my businesses were very like, screw it, let's do this. Let's just like get it out. Like all of our names are very like, maybe we'll rebrand eventually, because you grow as a person. So therefore your businesses are going to grow and change and whatever and evolve and just, and even if it's not the name that changes, you're like the vibes might change.
Oh
like
gosh.
you might redecorate or.
Dude, my first logo, if you look at people are like, oh my gosh, I love this. I'm like, there's shrimp in it. There's
I would
shrimp,
love
there's tacos.
for you to make a reel of like the Tricky Foods, like branding, like lifespan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be it's so cool.
Oh my gosh, my first logo. Oh, so fugly. No, sorry, but I had a first one and then my other one, the one that was actually printed, and then the one I have now. And the rebrand was like the best thing ever. But
right, and it's so fun. Like a rebrand is just a good way to like refresh. So it's like start somewhere. You can always rebrand, but yeah, I'm so excited for the Aside the Bride, and like I've been having so much fun looking through all the content that you're sending me.
It was fun. That's why I wondered, because I was on the floor in the middle of the aisle sitting, and then I was like looking around, making sure your grandma was like giving me the eye. Like, I promise, I'm here.
I'm here for work.
It was funny, but yeah, okay. I think I have like one final question. I'm just curious about. So, say you're a new business. I mean, We've been through the ringer right now.
Yeah.
We're newer.
Well, newer to like the brick and mortar thing. Wait, what do you?
But still, I mean, 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Years.
Oh gosh, yeah. We're still new.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm starting something totally new with a brick and mortar though.
But
you guys, we're gonna
like,
do this again in like 10 years and be like, God, we were so young.
We were
and
dumb.
stupid.
But for someone who's like brand new or who doesn't feel confident in social media or like that area of things, what's your biggest piece of advice for them?
Honestly, just talk to someone. Like I tell my clients or people who inquire with me about needing help with their social media management, even content creation. I'm like, because you do need to have a budget for it. It is an investment. But I always tell them, I'm like, just book a consultation with me. Let's have a chat. Even if you don't have the budget for like full-time help, maybe I'm your consultant. I'm your strategist. I can help you, just even brainstorm content. Cause like that is one of my zone of geniuses is that I'm really good at just like brainstorming and getting people thinking and getting the wheels churning. So I would just say, reach out, let's talk, at least just have a conversation. And even if it's not with me, talk to someone, bounce ideas off your best friend or something. That's the best way to like get it going. And it's also one of those screw it, let's do it things of like, don't think too hard about what you're posting. Just freaking post it.
Right.
Oof.
And just
That's
do
my
it.
downfall.
Literally nobody cares. I think that would be my biggest like advice is like literally nobody cares what you're doing. Do it. Do it for you. Do it for your business. Get it out there. Get your face out there. You guys that's why your businesses are so successful. You have a face to your name. People know it as you. You're the brand, right? So that's so important. I always tell my clients, I know it's hard. I know it's cringy or embarrassing, but like get your face out there, hold the selfie up, put it on a tripod. Like people want to know your story. And I think that's also why you guys do so well is you're sharing about your businesses, but you're also sharing the behind the scenes, the funny, this is the real life. Like it doesn't have to be perfectly curated, edited, like just show people yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When I started like putting my face on my Instagram, that's when
things.
Oh yeah, it grew so much. But now I actually am trying to take my face away from it. Like, you know how you have your dog as like your icon? Like I'm trying to make my winky face kind of like
I love
the
that.
icon.
Yeah.
I just like, I think I want to take it away from me because then people are like, they expect me to be at every event or teach every class.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm not there anymore.
Sure.
So like just last week, it felt awesome. Kelsey from the Tricky team changed like my profile picture on Instagram from like a picture of me to
winky.
like the logo. No, just the
it.
logo. I'm like,
oh, I love it.
which is, it's like a little bit less like, personal, but like
people
it's
still know you. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, they know.
When they think
They
of
know.
Tricky Foods, they think of you. They know that it's you. I always tell people a small advice, put the first pinned post as meet the team, meet the owner, meet the something like, because people, especially for photography, if it's a photography page, who's the photographer? You got pictures of all your clients. Who the heck is the photographer? That's who
I
they're
totally
hiring.
agree.
It's just like one of those things that people don't think of. And it's like, that's what I do when I'm trying to stalk someone and find whatever, a business, whatever. Who's the owner? Who's doing all this, So
especially photographers, whenever I look at their pages, I'm like, who is it?
who is it?
I always struggle
all these
on that.
clients. I can't
Yeah.
tell. Yeah.
I'm all over my page.
It helps
like
if you're
I'm every
holding-
other post. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
Those perform well though in your face. Someone's face. They do.
when it's you on it,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
you pass 10K on the reels every time. That's what I always say.
Really.
I love it.
They've been doing better when I'm on it. Day in my life videos
Yeah.
have been. Oh
I have recorded so many of those and then never actually edited and post.
my gosh, they're so easy. I love
Media
them.
managers.
Oh,
That's the whole thing. It's a lot of
Have a
logistics.
conversation.
Have a conversation. It's a lot of logistics and busy
literally.
work.
Yeah.
It's just, it takes time.
It's a full-time thing.
full-time job.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love it. We have very similar stories where like I worked for a startup in school. I worked for them 2 years after school. Like they hired me on. I had a team of interns.
Yeah, really?
I quit when I got called back to the office.
That's so
after
funny.
COVID.
Yep.
Because you couldn't bake anymore from home.
Well, I couldn't bake, and I also was like, "This is literal hell." Like
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it as much. Like I never enjoyed going to the office. Like I wasn't like, "Woohoo,
Yeah.
let's go to the office."
Yeah.
Like I was. It just was
Well,
part
it's
of
just the
what
whole
I thought.
entrepreneurship mindset of like, I'm just going to build the life I want, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was like what you were supposed to do. It was like, oh, you're supposed to get a job in an office.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought you for 50 years.
Mhm.
40. Wait. Yeah, like 40 years.
Yeah.
And
And see,
it doesn't have to be that way.
I love working. I have my office. No, I used to work from my kitchen table for
Well,
the
it's
past
different when
3.5
it's
years.
your
Yeah.
office.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
my office. I just went to the store and got all these like cute highlighters and like replaced them with the highlighters I've had since elementary school. I'm like,
I love it.
That's a step
wait.
up.
That's so
I'm
on
like, I
brand
feel
for her.
blessed. Yeah.
You should make a reel like redecorating your office.
I could, but I'm off.
But then
Instagram.
she'd have to edit it.
Yeah. Then
Let's say have Kelsey do it.
maybe that's a good content idea. We're talking content this week.
I love
Put that on
it.
the agenda.
Awesome.
I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for telling us about a little bit about your story. So where can our followers find you? How can they support you right now? What's the
Yeah.
tea with that?
I think just follow along. Like it's so fun to just like have people follow you in your journey and just like even just my personal life. Like it's so fun. Like I love sharing my life on Instagram. I know some people don't love it, but it's one of those things that like I love it. I love sharing my daughter and how freaking cute she is and our businesses and the journey that we're going through. So Simple Focus is just at Simple Focus Studios. Raise is Hello Raise Agency. Both of those are the same for the websites. And I think just follow along in the journey. Give me a follow and let me know if I can help you in any way, obviously. But it's just fun to have people, keeping up with everything that's going on.
You can find us at Screw It, Let's Do This on Instagram. You can also find us on YouTube, Screw It, Let's Do This. If you guys are liking our content, we would seriously love a review on Spotify or Apple or a comment on YouTube. Just let us know you're out there. We just want to say hi, what's up, how you doing?
That's the best way you can support us right now is just following along, giving us some pats on the back.
Yeah.
We would appreciate it.
And subscribing, because once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to put Shelby in a dunk tank.
I love
I'd be
it.
down.
Are you kidding? That's not official.
down.
That's not official, but if you want us to do it.
You can't hit a target.
What are you talking about? I was in softball for 10 years.
Anyways, you can find me at Miggy's Bakes.
And you can find me at Turkey Foods. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.